Good evening. This is Sunday, February 12th, and for the DPP Grain Desk, I'm Dwayne Lowry. I'm a little late with the Sunday night video, and the markets are already open. Thus there's little reason to talk about how we're going to open tonight. We are up a little bit here tonight. I'm not sure that it's going to amount to much in terms of building momentum or the start of some big turnaround. I think it's a correction of the weakness we experienced on Thursday and Friday. But the fact that we're not going to talk so much about tonight in particular is probably a good thing. What is important now is not tonight, it's not this week, but what will be the general theme between now and the next U.S. or global production threat. For reasons that I've discussed here before and seem to be driving home on a daily basis in my morning and afternoon written commentary, there is a solid case to build that we have been defining the top side of potential price parameters during the last few months, unless a significant production threat evolves. This is different than recent years when it seemed that every spring there were major concerns about the ability to garner all the needed acres, and oftentimes the trade was focused on the perceived job of the market to ration usage just to achieve the current USDA carryout projections. Neither is the case this year. Acreage is expected to be very large. Carryout projections for the new crop marketing year are expected to be much higher, even with the below-trend yield scenario. Old crop soybean stocks are plentiful, old crop corn stocks are tight, but nobody believes that we must experience a rationing job to attain the current carryout projection of 800 million that USDA gave us last week. Sometimes they give us a projection and the market perceives that there's a job to align prices in such a way to ration usage to get to that level. I don't think anybody's talking about that being the case during this current old crop marketing year. So since 2012 is different than recent years, it may be that we are back to a more historical, normal February through May pattern. In other words, it may be that the default setting for prices trends this year from last week's price peaks will be for price erosion. Now why, you may ask? In a nutshell, we have an adequate old crop inventory and reasonably conservative new crop production levels will produce much larger carryout levels for the next marketing season. The main reason this discussion is so very important is not because of the downside risk to new crop values, although that risk could be notable and it should be respected. The main reason is the large old crop premiums for corn and how there is a significant risk that this old crop premium will be the place that suffers the most if we experience a favorable start to the 2012 U.S. growing season. And it is this old crop inventory where I believe producers have the greatest near-term threat. Downside risk here is much greater than most are even contemplating, or so that is how it seems to me when I have discussions with producers. Consequently, I am imploring producers to seriously consider the merit behind the reasoning that 2012 is much different than recent years. I encourage you to strongly examine the ethanol industry's problem of holding record levels of product in storage amid reduced gasoline demand, amid declining ethanol prices, and weak or negative profit margins, and the possible implications towards corn use demand in the remaining old crop marketing window. With old crop futures 80 cents over new crop futures, this old crop inventory value is the most at risk, at least during the next 3 to 4 month marketing window. Yes, I'm concerned about downside risk for new crop prices, and I see there's risk there. But I am much more worried about the urgency for producers to address price exposure on remaining unsold 2011 corn production. Price action the past 2 to 3 weeks has been it's been offering notable warnings. Last week's price, in my opinion, seems to confirm that these heightened fears of downside price exposure. The next several days, the next 1 or 2 weeks, is going to probably offer either confirmation that the concerns that I've been expressing over the last 2 to 3 weeks is real, and the market is will already be on a price erosion mode, or my theory will be rejected. I think it's that simple. I think we've already reached the point where we've had the warnings. We've already reached the point where we've got the initial price action that seems to be confirming the validity of those warnings, and now that the market has to either reject that idea and completely reverse the losses that we saw Thursday and Friday of last week, or you're going to see it pick up downside momentum, and any little bounce efforts you get this week will have a difficult time building momentum. They will have a difficult time getting back into the price levels that we were at on Thursday, and the market will begin to unravel as we get more and more sectors of the marketplace that look to make sales. The producer is a little nervous here with old crop inventory and price action and disappointment that was around after last week's reports. You got the technical crowd that's been transforming and shifting and starting to become much more willing to trade from the short side. You've got fundamentalists that are focused on new crop production levels, acreage, and carryout levels that are much larger than the old crop, and an idea that we have a totally different fundamental backdrop than we've had in recent years. So those sectors of the trade are beginning to sell the market, and this is something that we haven't seen here for the last several years. World wheat supplies are abundant. World wheat values will continue to weigh on corn price potential. The market does not have a rationing job to do. The acreage is going to be very large, and there is no perception that we need to buy acreage this year, and there will not be an acreage battle. Agricultural's profitability has been very good for some time. We all know that it hasn't always been that way, and it won't always be that way. 2012 offers warnings of plausible scenarios that can create significant threats to U.S. producer profitability. Make sure that you don't risk too much with remaining 2011 inventory. Be sure to evaluate your risk. For the DPP Grain Desk, this is Dwayne Lowry. I want to thank you for your time and attention. Now go check your local grain bids through the DPP. Thank you.